Autism in Adults, Separating Autism from Mental Health Issues by Dr. Wenby Lawson, PhD. That's me. Looking at autism via the lens of monotropism. Monotropism is the tendency for our interests to pull us in more strongly than most people. It rests on a model of the mind as an interest system. We are all interested in many things, and our interests help direct our attention. Different interests are salient at different times. In a monotropic mind, fewer interests tend to be aroused at any time, and they attract more of our processing resources, making it harder to deal with things outside of our current attention tunnel. I am really focused here. So the main difference between autistic and non-autistic or allistic people is how we work with our attention. It appears to be our attentional focus. The focus of autistic attention is deep and narrow, and for allistic individuals, it's shallow and diffused or spread across a wider span. A bit like the torch that can operate on the narrow beam or that wider beam. This makes it seem like allistic individuals are multitasking, but it's more about connecting attention more widely and noticing more widely too. So for the external sensory system and the internal one actually, in allistic people, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, as well as having a sense of balance and an awareness of where you are in time and space is more accessible than it is for autistic people. When an autistic person is governed by a narrowed attention, perhaps even hyperfocus, they may experience their external and internal senses in a disconnected but heightened or underwhelmed way, and of course may move between the two. Like a torch beam, either narrow, brightly focused, autistic people, that's us, or diffused, spread more widely, that's allistic folks. This picture is meant to represent that wider diffused light spread over a wider area, and this one is meant to represent that narrower focused beam of light. This might mean because we notice more or less of a picture or experience, we may be detail or bigger picture focused. So in a social situation where information exchange can be fast, furious, forged between several people of mixed interests, that's polytropic, allistics may thrive with fertilized soil for social engagement. But for autistics, this can be overwhelming and disconnecting. Rather, fertile environments for us consist of our single-focused interest, where others of the same interest may join us, and we can happily join in social encounters. Mental fitness for autistics, so being mentally well for autistics, often means being happily engaged with our passions and or things associated with our passions. For example, I love straight lines. I love counting straight power poles. I love mowing in straight lines. I love lining up my things in straight lines, and so on. It's very connecting. This might seem like an obsession or even OCD, but it's more to do with how our autistic mind is operating. anxiety can be readily caused when we're not in the right environment. We focus upon one thing at any one time, serial fashion, rather than trying to have several things simultaneously. Anxiety happens for all of us, but for autistics, experiences are sharper, fuller, louder, brighter, so we are more quickly overwhelmed than Aulistics. Noise, lights, movement, conversations, body fragrances, and various demands can quickly overwhelm, overstimulate, and/or close us down. This may look like generalized anxiety disorder or some types of phobias, but eventually may be easily rectified by reducing exposure, not increasing it, wearing noise-cancelling headphones, sunglasses, a cap, for example, and or taking frequent breaks from such activities and interactions. There are many mental health issues that flow on from being misunderstood for autistic adults who may have struggled throughout their lives, often adapting themselves and their behaviour so they can fit in with and around others, effectively morphing into the crowd, the background, the expectation, and so on. Eventually, this is too much. Such experiences are often called masking or camouflaging, which takes so much energy and is exhausting. It's no wonder many can be it's no wonder we can't keep this up only for a short time. Often meltdowns, shutdowns, burnout, and so on is the result. Depression, anxiety, poor self-esteem, and simply not coping often drive the autistic person to the GP, who may refer them to psychological services for counselling. All too often, antidepressants are prescribed, but not uncovering the root cause of what's happening. That's often overlooked. It doesn't matter how much medication you throw at this, a square peg never fits into a round hole. Rather, we need more square accommodations for square pegs, please. See www.wenlawson.com.